this bad boy, nice guy idea really does make it real clear some ideas about how men behave. And it's not about bad and it's not about nice. It's not about character. It really is about behavior. And it's useful. I've used this idea as a way to self-assess, to simply be more mindful of how I'm showing up and how I'm asserting myself in the world, and to be able to make adjustments. So I'll share how I use it, what I think is useful and valuable about nice guy and bad boy. The first point I would make about it is that this model, for lack of a better word, is about behavior. It's not about character. It's not about somebody being good or bad. It's about the way people act. For instance, honesty is a quality of character, believing in the truth and the importance of the truth. Telling the truth is behavior. Saying things to others that are true is behavior. The character underlies it, but it's the actions that this is really relating to, is the behaviors. Now, telling a lie is bad behavior. That's manipulative behavior. But also not telling a truth that someone's entitled to know is also a form of deception. Now, it's also not an either or. You're not a nice guy or a bad boy. And it oftentimes gets presented that way, that you're one or the other. And I don't see it that way at all. And I don't think it's as useful as if you view it as a continuum, like a slider where you can, in any given moment, you can be more the bad boy or more the nice guy. For instance, assertiveness. If you dial assertiveness up, that is a masculine thing, and there's a level that's really good. Assertiveness, self-confidence, those are good qualities in the right amounts. Now, you can take something like assertiveness and keep dialing it up, and then pretty soon you start to get aggressive. Now, you can continue to dial that up to the point of being hostile, and I guess it depends on the circumstances, but there's too much of a good thing. So assertiveness in this slider is going to fall in the middle. Same with things like self-confidence. Self-confidence, I think, is a great quality in men, but you can dial that up and you reach arrogant. And for me, I'm not a big fan of arrogance, so I would dial that back down. Now, everyone gets to decide for themselves where they would like to fall on this continuum. But now, if you dial self-confidence down, now you start to get insecure, and when you dial it way down, you have an insecure person, and that's the nice guy end of the spectrum. You've got the nice guy and bad boy. If you take assertiveness and start dialing that down, you're lacking assertiveness, and dialed enough, you're timid, and that's not good either. So as a tool, as a way to self-assess, this idea is you can judge your own behavior. You're in a meeting, you had a great idea, and you didn't bring it up. You're a little timid about it. You're kind of intimidated by people around you. You wanted to bring it up, but you didn't. All right, well, you might try dialing that up a little bit, because those sort of timid behaviors are going to limit you in life. Now, you don't need to dial it up to, aggressive and hostile. You should just dial it up to assertive, where you stand up for your ideas, where you overcome the reluctance to politely and respectfully present your case, the arguments that you would have to make. So there is a balance that's going to be right for you. I've been in situations where I've come on a bit strong, and it's kind of apparent after the fact, and I can assess and say, I think I should dial that back a little bit. In fact, one way to look at it from behavior is that the bad boy is more overtly masculine. They are more assertive. They demonstrate confidence and strength, and they show themselves as men in more overt ways. It's apparent when someone is confident and they know what they're talking about. There's something about that that's very engaging, that you recognize and you appreciate. You know, if I'm talking to a doctor, I want someone that's confident in what they do. So that's an overt expression in how they present themselves. The nice guy end of the spectrum seems to focus a little bit more on covert behaviors. When something's wrong, they tend to go quiet and are more secret about things. For instance, if a man, this happens a lot with men interested in women, the more overtly masculine man will typically make his interests and intentions apparent. And I think women appreciate this within reason. And then the nice guys, a lot of times they don't make it apparent. They show up and try to be your friend, and and it's, I guess they're playing long game or something, but they don't make it clear I'm interested. They make it clear I want to be your friend, and this is a behavior that doesn't serve men. So one way to make this distinction between the bad boy and nice guy is bad boys will speak up, and nice guys will shut up. And those overt and covert behaviors lead to very different outcomes. Nice guys trying to get what they want have learned these manipulative skills. They're the people-pleasing skills. And if you identify as a nice guy, it's something worth paying attention to. Because if you're trying to take every situation and make sure everybody's happy and there's never any conflict, you're essentially trying to control an environment that you're not really in control of. And trying to keep people happy. There's something nice sounding about that. But if what you're doing is really stifling important conversation, you're not helping. You're simply trying to avoid conflict. I think, a guy right in the middle, a well-balanced man, he's going to be more honest because he's going to speak up rather than conceal truths, as opposed to somebody who might think they're very honest but doesn't tell people the truth. They just keep it to themselves, and that's dishonest. Balance is key in this. The idea that there are extreme positions, most of us will fall somewhere in between. Identifying where you would like to be, and the mix between these two, more overt and covert styles of behavior is going to help you, one, self-assess, and then two, to grow, to develop those kinds of behaviors. So let's take a scenario and apply a few different responses, just for example. You go to a restaurant, you're going with friends, and you order a steak medium rare. And the steak comes and it's overcooked. It's not medium rare. And now we're going to respond in three different ways. The first way is calling the waiter over and just, reading the riot act. I mean, just complaining, talking about what an idiot he is for bringing this over. Clearly it's overcooked. How the restaurant doesn't know how to prepare food, and on and on. Overly aggressive response, all right? So that's way over on one side of this continuum. The second response would be to call the waiter over and say, I'm sorry, I ordered this medium rare. I would not enjoy this steak. Could I have another? And that seems like a reasonable response to me. The third, and we'll come back to that in a moment. The third is the nice guy approach over on this extreme, which is where he's really unhappy with it. And his evening is now ruined as he eats the steak, just hating every moment and every bite. But he vows that he will never go to this restaurant again, and he will tell everybody he knows how terrible it is. And he's having a miserable time, and he leaves the waiter a 25-cent tip. And that's kind of the covert nice guy response, which is avoiding the conflict, that moment of having to express dissatisfaction and ask for what he wants. This is where nice guys get it wrong all the time, is they don't speak up. They don't ask for the things they want. They don't assert positions that they really probably have a responsibility to assert. Now, I think that middle one, where you call the waiter over and you politely explain that you wouldn't enjoy it, and you ask for a replacement, is better for everybody. I think the chef ought to know that he's not paying attention. He messed up on that one. He may not. He may be doing this to a lot of people. Well, he needs to know. The waiter's going to be better off because you're going to be happy when he brings you another steak. You're going to think, yes, nice. And you're going to leave a nice big tip. He's better off. And the restaurant owner's better off because you're not bad-mouthing them all over the internet in this, you never brought it up when you were there. You'll see reviews on Yelp like this where the restaurant responds, we wish you had told us this. We would have corrected it. It's better for everybody when people speak up. You don't have to be angry or rude or hostile, but honest is good. In fact, if you recognize that in certain ways you lean too much one way or the other in all manner of masculine behaviors and all behaviors that you are self-aware of, you can decide, I'd like to dial that up a little bit, or I'd like to dial that down a little bit. Just for next time, you don't have to torture yourself, but being mindful that you are in control. And by being aware of it and placing it on this kind of continuum just gives you the cue that, you know what, I am traditionally underdoing it. Nice guys will recognize this about themselves, that they often are underdoing it. There was someone they wanted to meet and they thought about it, but they didn't do it. Okay, well, that opportunity has passed. And you can say, well, I wish I'd showed up a little bit more. So nice guys think women just go for jerks. Well, women, in my experience, want good men, right? Men that show up, that are confident, that are assertive, not necessarily aggressive or hostile, not to any extreme, but not sneaky either. I mean, the idea of pretending to be someone's friend for 2 years when what your real intention is probably apparent to everybody. That's not honest. So women are looking for confident, assertive, kind, decent, patient, understanding, good men. And that is, in my opinion, that is going to be somewhere on this continuum. You're closer to the center than to one side or the other. And if you find that you lean one side or the other, you should decide who you want to be, not for a woman, but for you. I think you'll find, if you were to ask women, they want good men. And it doesn't have to be an extraordinary man. You ask him, are there, enough good men? I think you'll find most women will say, no, there are not enough good men that will show up, be decent, that are confident, that are kind, that are honest, that will assert themselves, that will speak up. They're not being sneaky or secretive. They're just good men. So this continuum I've found is just a really handy way to self-assess, just to be mindful of my own behavior, the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm doing that probably need a little bit of work, and how to make adjustments. Do I dial it up or do I dial it back down? And you'll spend the rest of your life trying to find the ideal balance, but I have found this to be a useful tool in making progress towards that.